have any good stories? Do you want me to talk? Okay, I got some things I can talk about. Let's go ahead.
No, I meant in the news.
John, tell us a story.
So,
These are not news stories.
so
This is
who
now
wants
just
to
a
talk about
storytelling.
B-Sides Cleveland? Huh?
Oh, dude,
Oh, we got a
literally
throwback.
have been avoiding that. So, come on, don't throw us. Don't.
Is there an
hell, I have
elephant?
no problem
Is there
talking
an
about
elephant over there? Can you pan over to the elephant over there?
John, you can talk about whatever you want. We, on the other hand, are going to let you take the reins on that.
I like I said, I don't know what there's the Notion link. So if I click this Notion link, and then it's going to ask me to authenticate. You want to continue with Google or with Apple? I have neither of those things. So
Continue with email.
Well, now you're out of the ecosystem.
Oh wait, isn't there a link I thought there was a click at the bottom to just go in as a guest or something.
What is Notion? Send us a message.
I think Ralph would have to do some admin controls on that one.
Yeah.
What do you need?
They wanted to make it public, so you don't have to log in every time to read it.
We could also do the thing. We could do the fun thing of John just pulls fun stories, and then Ryan has to find them and post them.
Do you want me to do that? I can do that.
It's like
okay,
story.
I'll give you an overview. We got the Maui ransomware. We've got the debt collection firm ransomware. Those are the ransomware hits. Also, apparently, hacking groups are moving to Brute Ratel, which fun.
Oh,
We have.
I want to talk about that one. Hey,
that
I'm
one's really touchy.
along for the ride.
There's also, sale of Chinese data that happened, apparently. There's warnings of immense threat from China, which, I mean, that's just every other day.
What?
There's a near undetectable malware linked to Russia's Cozy Bear.
Oh, we do have a
did you
Florida
make that
man
one?
in here.
Do we have a Florida
There's a
man
Florida
story?
man.
Because that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun
pulled
one.
off a pretty epic, social engineering of stealing R2-D2.
But the guy who did it is, oh my gosh, it's the.
All right, well, let's get started here.
I'll
Let's
start it
roll
off.
the
And
finger.
I'll hand it over to you guys, Ralph and Corey, for like the stories, and we'll do it live. Damn
Hit him
it.
with the
I'll do it
finger.
live.
Hit him with the
All
finger.
right.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Black Hills Information Security, talking about news. You thought you'd be rid of me, but I came back. So there's been a lot that's been going on since I've been away. I've been teaching. I've been on vacation. Something about a con in Middle America, expert witness stuff. So it's been a long time. But it's really, really, really good to be back and actually see, people in the security community. And holy crap, there's a lot of people commenting in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know where they all
forgot
came
about
from, but
The biggest news of all is that we changed our Discord name.
What is our Discord name?
It's just
You
called
don't even know.
Infosec Knowledge Sharing.
We're
formerly
knowledge sharers
BHIS.
I think that's what it always was, though. We just happened to.
no, it got changed.
No, it was
No,
super
I'm
changed.
saying.
Jason changed it, and then he went hiking. So it's
He's out.
John, that
He's out.
basically that BHIS server you're still in, John. That's a social engineering campaign. You should probably.
Yeah,
A lot of people going through
that's some other kind of bear campaign. We'll say bear and then a campaign.
Yeah.
It's an Australian group. It's Drop Bears.
Yeah.
Drop bears. Drop
It's-
bears. We're replacing these bears for pandas.
It's Discord bears. Only baby pandas, though. Only the rarest.
Only
What
baby
about
pandas.
koalas?
So somebody's asking, do you have a link for the sock course? Yeah, I'll post it.
I'll post it.
So
Hey, John, where are the slides, though? I need the slides
you
right
need
now.
the slides. Yeah, they're out on they're out on GitHub. Just go there, man. I don't know. I'm a little bit fried. I actually, like I said, right before I went away on vacation to Yellowstone. And by the way, I did not pet the fluffy cows. I had to write and teach the intro to red teaming class in 3 days, which was a personal challenge for me, honestly. But no, that was good. It's just good to be back. Planning on getting back into a normal thing. John Hammond's bison. No, we didn't see that one. I saw no bison attacks while we were there.
No bison.
But what do we got for news?
You want to do ransomware first? Also, someone
Let's go to
mentioned,
ransomware.
Ryan, I don't know
actually-
if you have a link, but the whole Canada internet outage thing was pretty sad / funny.
Was that
where, like,
ransomware?
Oh, that was ransomware. I don't.
It was
I
not
do not have that link.
Ransomware?
Yes,
God,
this
I
is
do
how
need that
fake
link.
I
news
knew it.
happens.
I knew it.
It was ransomware, people, but it was like the internet company ransoming all the clients to get them to pay. So I guess just regular business.
Get there.
Drop that capitalism bomb.
Just like that. Just like that.
So apparently Maui.
Oh, we've got sound effects now. A month and a half, and we upgrade.
That was like a quartet sound. What?
Yeah.
Nice.
So there was real ransomware, though, right?
Oh, there was lots
There
of it.
was some
Not
real
related to the Canadian
ransomware.
internet outage.
I remember one time BHIS scanned like half of Canada with Nessus. That was fun.
What was that,
Well,
like
you mean
20 or 30 IPs?
no?
Do
It's
they have a
14, 14
/28?
total, 14.
This would have been like 2000. This would have been right whenever we first started back in 2008. We had a customer that gave us their IP ranges, and I just copied and pasted them, threw them into Nessus, and let the scan go. And it was like, I don't know, it was taking a while. I knew it was a large network. But then I realized that when we started looking at the results, it was a bunch of like maple syrup companies, which is
Yeah. Isn't the main
no,
ISP? Isn't the main ISP there like Canada or Internet Yay or something?
Yeah,
like
because
that?
it was a lot. So we had to stop the scan. We went back to the customer, like, you just had to scan a whole bunch of Canada. And they're like, oopsies, I missed a digit. Sorry.
One thing
Oh,
that
their
can
IPs
happen.
are metric, John. It's weird.
Yeah.
They,
Does the internet
they
still
did.
work on metric? That was, so
They did apologize for the outage, though. We know that.
that was nice of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're sorry.
I like how Oakler is like, it was DNS since BGP was causing it. That's awesome. It's-
So
it's
speaking
fun.
of companies, or speaking of countries with small internet presences, North Korea only has 3/24s, but they're still targeting U.S. health providers with ransomware. Who would have thought?
What are they? Can we scan those right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna put those on a list.
175, 45, 176, 178, 179. That's it.
All their
man.
OPSEC is
That's
ruined.
their entire internet. They can't. Yeah, they can't find other IPs. It's sad.
No, it's
Pack
impossible.
it up, boys. We got them.
We got it.
I just doxed North
these
Korea. I just doxed them
Well
on the
done,
internet.
Sissa. Well done, Sissa. So
Spin the chair around. There you go.
I wonder who's surprised by these alerts anymore. And this is like, my whole thing about CISA these days. Whenever people are like, oh my God, North Korea is attacking people with a vulnerability. Like, is anybody like, well, it's a dang good thing we got that alert.
Well, John, see this one.
Without that.
What you see, you're jumping the gun here, John. Because look at the advanced encryption it can use, and this is pretty crazy. I'm just gonna read it. It can use AES, RSA, and XOR encryption. Okay, so this
Yeah,
is
the XOR is
not.
pretty tough.
This
Hey,
is
don't
not
laugh. I'm
your
sure
run-of-the-mill
there's places in
malware.
Vegas.
There-
Dude,
yeah,
don't
the question
laugh.
is,
I'm
how do they
pretty
get
sure
in?
Vegas? There's some place in Vegas that can set that up with the right money.
Oh man.
Is there anything noteworthy about this at all, or is it seriously just
I guess
like
not.
a AI generated?
Well, okay. This gets
AI
back
generated
into,
article.
okay, so if you go through it, like CISA, I've actually read this one. I think they basically say use multi-factor authentication and patch your stuff, right? They have
Secure
that
and
on the
monitor
rubber
RDP.
stamp.
Don't forget that one.
Which one?
It says secure and monitor RDP.
Oh man.
But I think which if that was an internal recommendation, it'd actually be pretty cutting edge. But I think they mean like RDP on the internet.
Yeah, which is
They
bad.
mean like
Oh,
We tried to do that once. I mean, you have never seen fear in your eyes like trying to deploy CyberArk with the proxy function,
Oh,
and you tell all
no.
the administrators, yeah, you're going to lose direct access to RDP. You'll go through the security tool, and they're like, we will. No,
This will not stand.
this will not stand.
yeah, it's.
Yes, Riptide basically said it's interesting about the Maui ransomware is North Korea is going after Bitcoin for money. Now they're adding in healthcare. Huh.
I assume they're just trying to figure out how to do healthcare. They're like, can we get all like the doctor's procedures logs and stuff? Like, just hack into healthcare and then like figure out, like, pull down all the procedures. But like,
Oh God, we keep this up, it's going to get political fast.
I was going to say,
They're gonna take our money and take our health care. How dare they?
Wait a minute, Kentucky. Is that you in a North Korean coat?
how'd you
They're
know?
like, but North Korean proxies were the cheapest. They were so cheap. You could get North Korean IP address space for nothing.
Nothing. They have B6 too.
It is. I guess it is scary / notable that they're going after people's actual information. But weren't they? I don't know. They were doing that before. They're just. I don't know. Just more of the same. Watch out.
Ransomware. It hadn't changed while I was away. It's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Some things never change.
Nope.
I guess speaking of ransomware, though, what about Brute?
Okay, this one I do want to talk about. Is Brute now the new hotness over Cobalt?
It's the buzzy. It's a buzzy word. It's got a little feel to it. You know,
it's got a catchy name.
It's got a catchy name.
You have Cobalt
been...
Strike versus Brute. I like it.
Look at that logo. Isn't that beautiful?
Is that the actual logo?
Is that the logo?
That's the actual logo. It's very like hackery. Like if you use the tool, like everything comes in. It's like incoming badger, and you're like, it's a badger. It's a whole thing.
It gives me the Johnny. It gives me the Johnny Quest graphics vibe. I don't know why.
Oh my God, you nailed it.
Yeah.
I do think it's kind of funny. It's like the people that sell Cobalt Strike are probably like, well, how are they even getting it? Like, you know what I mean? They're like, hey, we're switching officially from Cobalt Strike. We're like, we weren't selling you this. Like, we didn't have a deal. Like,
there was a press release somewhere, apparently.
Well, no,
it's a press release.
I have a theory.
Do we have a PO out to the Edgy Panda group?
Get Frank over.
We just wanted to let you know that we're breaking up with you unofficially, even though we were never going together.
Yeah, we never
right? Yeah. Hey, the product that we stole we're not using it anymore. Okay.
So this is. So what's the lesson to be learned here, right? I mean, Cobalt Strike was like the tool that was being used by malicious attackers, and they're still using it heavily, right? And it's a good tool. We're happy customers. We use it in a bunch of engagements. And then we switch over to Brute, and it's now being used. Is the lesson that these tools are just like really, really awesome, or is it that the antivirus vendors really aren't doing that good of a job?
So I would guess this is actually a switch not for AV reasons, but tangentially EDR reasons. I think the reason people are switching, which is the same reason that we're switching, is that these newer tools like Brute have more features to be more malleable on the fly, more than Cobalt Strike. Cobalt Strike is kind of like you can take it, you can do a lot of things with it, but at the end of the day, it has limited customization, whereas like Brute or some of the other newer C2s have way more customization in the agent, like on the fly. So I would guess it's more just like an operational thing. I don't think it's like, a big, like personally having used Brute, it's not like it's a free pass. Like, it's not like, oh, you're on Brute, come on in. Like,
come on in.
I know those certificates. MC was like no hits on virus total for Brute.
I think the other thing that it shows is no matter how much the companies that make these proper tools for us they're never going to stop it from getting into the hands of the attackers.
Well, and that's and I'm actually okay with that, right? I think that's fine. It's like one of my things. Like if you're complaining about open source tooling, because I like to get on that soapbox as much as I can, and you're complaining about a tool being publicly available on GitHub with source code, and you cannot detect it, we have bigger problems in the industry. And it's the same thing with like commercial tools as well. But this gets into the business model for these particular companies, right? Like if you're dealing with like Brute or a Cobalt Strike or what's the other one that we have, Corey?
Nighthawk.
The one that we just
Nighthawk
or any of those.
MD
you run into a problem where your entire business model is trying to stay ahead of like these vendors, and that's a really difficult business model.
They have a lot more money.
They do, but I think that a lot of these firms, they get really good at bypassing, and they're like, we're really good at bypassing. We should sell a product. And then they do, and now all of a sudden it's a product and it's out in the hands of a few hundred or a few thousand people. And that game is really difficult whenever you're trying to do it at that level and that scale.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is it's about just public enemy number 1 versus public enemy number 2 and 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. I think for years Cobalt Strike was used by testers or white hats, and then eventually it was like, hey vendor, you need to fix this because we're getting in, we're spending millions of dollars on your product. We hire someone for 20 grand and they just get past your tool. Like, what's the deal? And then I think over time, as real threat actors picked it up and vendors pushed more and more, now we have this public enemy number 1 Cobalt Strike. Now you have public enemy number 2 Brute Ratel. How long will it be? Like, this is how algorithms work, right? Like, as long as more people are doing more malicious things, all the techniques that are used by these tools are going to be more targeted by these algorithms. It's really just
here's my theory, right? This was not some threat actor group coming up with a new thing to get past stuff. This was literally a product of Rafal being tired of getting calls from like news people saying like, how do you feel about the thing that you built? He's like, I'm going to make a new one and I'm not putting my name on it. And all that.
There you go.
So the creator's name is very much on this. There was some Twitter drama recently where a certain AV vendor, a certain EDR provider was like, they were kind of trash talking each other back and forth, like, oh, well, I could bypass your tool. No, you can't. Well, here's proof that I did. Well, you broke my terms of service. It was a whole, classic internet argument of like, okay, well, you're a Nazi. Okay, the internet's it's over. The argument's
you're a Nazi.
Yeah, we just end it.
And then some guy steps in. He's like, ding, ding. All right, 2 points to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and I'm a PhD, and that's how we win arguments.
Oh, yeah.
You can't talk to me unless you at least have an HD.
Wait, HD? Oh, nice.
HD.
Not a full PhD. He's an HD. He's on his way to becoming a PhD.
You do not have the academic ability to understand
standard definition, son.
That's right.
I don't talk to undergrads unless they're available. I don't know about that. I love it how these inside jokes are going to be completely lost in like 3 weeks. What the hell?
They'll have to read Twitter just to figure it out. God rest their souls.
Yeah.
But yeah. So basically, I think on the C2 stuff, there's so many. I mean, there's a ton of them. They all are very similar. And no, I don't think many vendors are writing in specific detections for specific tools anymore. I think it's more, this tool has this behavior that is noteworthy. This tool has this behavior that's noteworthy.
But this is something, Cora, we've been talking about on this show. I mean, if we get down to it, it's getting harder, right? I mean, I have no problem, going out there and saying bypass and getting access, moving laterally is getting more difficult. It absolutely, without question, is. So does that mean that this is progress, or are they just getting better at detecting the tools that red teams are using?
I think they're just.
Oh, it can be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah, I think they're figuring out our tradecraft, right? Because they keep getting hemmed up, and they're also just getting better at it as well. Like the detection is better, but also they're focusing on our tradecraft, or and the tools that we have. And so, yeah, I think it's a laser focus at both.
Yeah.
For me, the most interesting part is going to be seeing how the creator of Brute Ratel approaches being. I mean, I guess you could argue no press is bad press, but this is a really tricky place to be in, where you're like, okay, so the Conti ransomware group just did a press release. First of all, what did I just even say?
Why do they have press releases?
And they said they're using our tool, so yay. But also, now we're in court. Like, how do you? It's a tough.
But wait a minute. How did any of that at all hurt Cobalt Strike? Because attackers have been using Cobalt Strikes for a
long time.
For a really long time. I don't think it ever hurt Cobalt Strike.
No, I mean, it hurt their customers for sure, but I think more than anything, it was just I do think that they were very specific about ensuring that when government agencies or law enforcement came asking, they had documentation to prove like we didn't accidentally sell Cobalt Strike to Cozy Bear. We didn't like that. And it'll be interesting if that happens to this person. I really hope that they have the documentation to be like, are they doing KYC? Are they like,
they said
seriously
it says
just
business email though. Like anyone can kind of get a business email,
Yeah.
Cozybear.com.
I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out because so with Cobalt Strike, I think given the military background of the tool, given the people that created it, having it all above board,
not just good faith in the community, right?
And plus his good faith, it's a totally different thing. With Brute Retell, I don't think there's any of that. I think it's seriously like if someone's going to get raked over the coals, it's going to be this creator because what KYC does he have? I mean, nothing against the guy, but it'll just be interesting to see how it plays out because unlike Cobalt Strike, where everything was above board, they had a ton of goodwill. They were like, we are not at all complicit in this. It'll be interesting to see if that is the case or if it's more like.
Tell me about Brute Retell's developer. Like, I don't know who's the main developers behind it. Is it a pretty good sized group or is it like just a handful of people?
I think it's like a dude.
As far as I know, it's a dude.
Oh wow.
I believe I think it's just I don't know a ton about the tool, but I do believe it's a kind of a solo project. There might be other contractors or things, but it really is mainly pioneered by one guy.
I guess he was a red teamer at Mandiant and CrowdStrike, and then he released the Brute Retell, and then kind of it evolved into like a whole company. So
he has his actual Twitter handle is parentheses Brute Retell C4. So
oh wow.
Yeah, was this the same guy that got into an argument with a bunch of people about
yes.
Oh
yeah.
Correct. So basically stay tuned because it'll be very interesting to see now that we know ransomware groups are using it, how that all works out with, who is he giving the tool to? Is there any kind of like tracking? Like one of the things about Cobalt Strike is there's tracking, like every payload has an embedded key of the threat or person that purchased it, all that stuff. Like they have awareness, they have to legally. So does this person do that, or is it just an open source agent, or is it like, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. But obviously, like you said, John, there are open source C2s that are actually really good. There's Mythic, there's Sliver, there's
I think it's interesting though because there is a bunch of open source C2 tools, right? That with a little bit of effort, you can absolutely make it into your tradecraft without paying $1 and just a little bit of research. But any of the paid for ones that are kind of doing that extra piece for you, making it turnkey, that's the ones that kind of get hit up as the public enemy number one, right?
And John's right that what they're partially paying for is they're paying for that bypass, like as a service. Right, like they're paying for the person who's the developer to go through and make sure it's bypassing, all the tools they can get their hands on. So
once again, I just want to reiterate: if you're looking at your business model and you're like, we're going to, sell 0 days, or we're going to sell C2 that's going to bypass antivirus engines, that's no way to live, son. Trust me on that.
We got an email here over here in one of the inboxes. To active countermeasures. It's from Cub at comfortableursiday.org, and attached was this.
Ian?
What?
Ian?
Send me a license key.
How did you get email to just send you cash like that?
It's Cash App.
Yeah. Venmo.
Oh, amazing.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
That's how it happened. I don't know.
Are you a wizard?
So what had happened was I went to a place. Someone left me a briefcase. I picked up the briefcase and
he said briefcase. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 3D printers are getting really good.
They are. They're printing dollar bills, y'all. All right, what else do we got?
Ooh,
we should
one
move
last
on from
one.
Ransomware, right?
I was going to give you the one last one on ransomware, but
okay.
Let's forget it. It's fine.
I don't know. It's 25 minutes, and we've buzzworded ransomware.
We got
all right. Fair
enough. For MC, it says John pays his folks well. I would like. We're going to get close on this. That says Hold on. Give me
You got to back up a hair.
Yeah, you got to do that.
You got to back up
the
the
camera.
focus.
There we go. There we
You
go.
got it. You got it.
There you go.
Prop
Prop
copy.
copy.
There's a whole bunch of prop money.
Yeah. Prop copy.
So you're saying someone bought your C2 with prop money? That's even better.
I know. That's
Something
crazy.
that somehow that seems just like awesome.
So in the vein of ridiculous headlines, there's one that just says DoD issues call for hackers to dig into networks.
What?
They've done this before, though.
I know. It's a funny headline. It's like, please breach us again. We didn't.
Oh,
the
no.
OPM breach only affected half of our citizens.
They've done this before, but this is their inaugural program.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard there's a
It's
press
going
release
well.
from Fancy Bear. They're actually going to be participating.
I will say, they're going to have to compete with all the ransomware groups that are like, we have benefits, we have paid time off.
Benefits, yeah. Paid time off, yeah. Unlimited PTO.
There you go.
The thing I love about this is there's totally who's the company that's running the bug bounty program? Like, who is the third party firm?
It's probably
I thought it was HackerOne, but I could be wrong.
L3 or something.
Oh, it is HackerOne. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's going to be some VC funding in this for sure. So, I still wonder sometimes some of the IP addresses that I use, like in the back of my head, I've got some of those like passwords memorized. I don't know if I could remember the IP addresses, but I'm like, do you think they changed the password since I left?
No, they just air gapped it. Same password.
No, yeah. You keep
not.
the same password, but you just can't access it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you put it in a room with no internet. Like,
There's
10
a
feet.
banner. There's also a banner that says if you log in, you're breaking U.S. law and it's a felony. So that's going to stop everyone.
That
Yeah,
stops.
how does that work? Unless you're hacking with HackerOne, at which point, bring it. So,
It's already been brought in.
Brought.
yeah. This message of the day banner brought to you by HackerOne.
Please don't hack this restream.
Don't hack this restream. Not again.
So yeah, that was just not to be the cynical news channel, but that was just
Here we are.
It's the inaugural,
Ooh.
but they've been doing it for years. It's like
No, I think we started cynical.
The
Yeah,
bug bounty
you're really
program,
riding it too.
I assume the bug bounty program is like what, the DoD website? Like, there's no way they're like come into these 11 nets where everything's secret and completely like no, it's
Well, and I'm willing to bet that there's very, very, very stringent like range restrictions, and they've been pretty well picked over anyway by now. They might throw a couple of things out there for people to catch so they can get this is more PR
out there.
Yeah, I honestly feel this is more PR than it is actually looking for real vulnerabilities in their infrastructure. So
I would agree. It's kind of especially because of how the military does with dirty laundry. It's like you either get a $10,000 bounty or a felony charge. Your call.
There's no in between. Dear DoD and HackerOne, I found these drone videos. Is this what you wanted us to find?
Wow.
Please address a self-envelope to Guantanamo Bay at.
And you have to say this with a distorted voice, with the distorted voiceover.
Distorted voice. When you get arrested, they're gonna be like, "This is the Chelsea Manning suite." Oh, that's not good.
Oh no! Too soon.
Ooh, too soon. Wow.
For what it's worth, I went and pulled up the HackerOne U.S. Department of Defense scope, and the scope is publicly accessible information systems, web property, or data owned, operated, or controlled by the DoD.
That's pretty big. There.
Yeah, but then there's like probably some little footnote that says "except," and then there's like,
Wait, first give the information.
Then they pull out a banjo.
Scroll up
There
a little
is a
bit.
footnote, by the way.
Yeah.
DoD interprets the term publicly accessible as means of accessing information systems as defined by, and then they just go into laws.
Laws.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you will not there. Like,
I'm
that's
sure.
a lot.
It's better. It's more built out than we cynically thought, but I'd still be very careful just being like, all right, I'm going to go necesscanthedod.com. Like, like.
I can't remember. Have I come on and talked about DOJ updating their computer fraud and abuse prosecution policy?
Yeah, I did hear about that, but I don't think you talked about it.
Okay, so this stems out of the Paige Thompson trial, the Capital One hack. Seriously, I distinctly remember talking about this in front of a camera. I don't know if it was on the news.
That was a deposition.
That was on the real news, not the weirdos sitting in
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was a deposition, remember?
Yeah, so I was working with the prosecution on that case, and I went out to Seattle and testified, and it was a blast. And if somebody could quickly Google DOJ Updated Computer Fraud and Abuse Act guidance, there's a new set of guidance that the Department of Justice is working with, specifically whenever it comes to good faith security researchers. And basically, if you are doing good faith security research and you're doing it like to make the world a better place, coordinating with companies, coordinating with DoD maybe, working through bug bounty programs, then they say they will not be prosecuting people using the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. And this actually came out of a lot of the work that was actually being done with the Paige Thompson trial and the Capital One breach. But there it is. There's the new policy right there on how that works. And it's funny, the good faith security research thing, where that actually came from that I thought was hilarious is Halderman was an expert witness. He was the guy behind the Dominion voting machines stuff. He did ZMAP, University of Michigan, and is also co-owner of Census.io. He was working for the defense, and the good faith security researcher, we actually took that from one of his papers. The prosecution did that he wrote on the DMCA was where that was actually defined, which I thought was fun. Because he clearly didn't remember writing what a good faith security researcher was, which is weird because he wrote it. But so this also, I think this feeds into this story whenever people are saying, hey, you need to be really careful when you're doing this type of security research. And once again, if you're looking at the Department of Justice and the way that they look at it, they aren't quite as gun-ho as they were even like 5-6 years ago going against security researchers. Now, all that kind of gets thrown out the window as soon as you go after DOD, but hey, you've got an adequate like cover that you can work under, and you have the updated DOJ guidance. You're probably doing pretty good. You're probably not going to get into too much trouble. Most likely. It'll be fine.
So, are you telling me that trying to sell my stolen data is
considered lawyer and so this is not legal advice? This is no? Okay.
Go ahead, Ian. No. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but sure, you can take it as legal advice, whatever. I don't know what happens to somebody. Like, does my hair start on fire if I'm like, I do not have a law degree, but here's some advice from someone who's been doing it for 15 years. I don't know. But yeah, I do know that if you're looking at Department of Justice and the way that they look at these things, seriously, if you're working within the confines of the community, you're not doing DDoS testing. You're actually trying to coordinate disclosure with the vendor or with the community at large. They're not going to come after you, most likely.
It does give specific examples if anyone was curious. Embellishing an online dating profile contrary to the terms of service, creating fictional accounts on hiring, housing, or rental websites, using a pseudonym, checking sports scores at work, paying bills at work. None of these things are going to be prosecuted. It actually says this.
Yep. Paying bills at work?
What company tried to go after someone for that?
No, but the dating profile, Ralph and I and some other people are working on an engagement where that's actually okay. If you remember that, Ralph, they said that.
Yes, I do. It's okay.
Yeah, they actually gave us, not only did they give us permission, but they gave us tips too. They were like, if you want to create a profile going after our target people, these are some things you might want to think about. And we're like, holy crap.
John,
so that's the story of how John got a tramp stamp.
Oh man! Oh man!
No,
he went there. Ralph was pulling back. Corey just went straight in.
I was trying to hold back, and Corey was like, "I'm going in."
Like, hi, my name is John. I don't know. All right, what else do we got? I'm glad the show is as much of a train wreck as it was when I left it.
So,
you've done a great job.
All of you. TikTok. TikTok.
So
FCC commissioners urge Google and Apple to ban TikTok. I guess something about China, something about your data, and something about bad.
Haven't we been complaining about this? Like, haven't we known that a lot of the data is going to China since like 2-3 years.
But they promised. They said they were sending it to Oracle, which I think now is like a new pseudonym for China.
The
but
FCC is always so fired up. It kind of like makes me happy that someone is like, they're always so fired up over there. They're like, we're putting you on the trade restrictions list because we got in an argument on Twitter. Like,
I still love that, like, you know, they're doing all of this in the background and they're still banning Serena's videos on like Ping. Like, you know, that's the line right there.
Oh God!
Yeah, teach people to use the dangerous Tracer T.
Yeah.
Thank you, Next Gen Hacker 101.
So what is their like actual justification? Is it just the
they need
same
to
that it
ban
has
TikTok.
been?
No, hold on. Yeah, they need to ban TikTok because that's Google's court. They're the ones who mine data. And
and Facebook. Oh my God!
It infringes on Google's right to mine everyone's data.
I think it's mainly just where they're sending it, right? So instead of, you know, Maryland, they're sending it to China, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Reading through the article on it, it sounds more like it's going to Oracle here in the U.S., but the guy in China has master admin rights to go ahead and take a look at it and pull everything through it because it's up in the cloud, and who knows where the cloud's being looked at.
That was a big deal with Apple, if you guys don't recall. Apple, you know, has data centers in China, and you know, China wanted the key, and there was a whole back and forth about them giving it access, and they were like, if you don't give us access to the data, we are going to kick you out of China, and, you know, as far as like having user devices there and stuff. And, you know, Apple kind of came to this thing where they're like, all right, well, we gave them the key, but there's no way they'll be able to get into it.
Yeah, we cool,
right?
It's still, you know, it's funny how people freak out about this, but literally every single one of our computer systems, like 90% of the components are manufactured in China.
No,
it's like,
maybe in Taiwan.
We're not going to worry about that, but we're going to worry about this. Like, it's crazy. And China is exfiltrating like 7 terabytes of data a day from the United States. I don't know.
They keep showing up on boats.
One more, right?
Yeah, what's one more?
What's one more, right?
Who cares? Just one more.
I mean, forget John, I love your point because a friend of mine and I have this conversation all the time. Forget exfiltrate. From a commercial standpoint, we're sending intellectual property secrets to China for free. We're saying, hey, go build this in your plant. Go do here's the actual schematics of the microprocessor we want you to etch into sand for us. And they go, oh, that's great, thanks. It's ridiculous to think that somehow sending a dance challenge videos to China is somehow a greater risk than our entire IP stack for advanced technology. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's.
Hey, we need.
I think honestly, Ian. I think honestly, like there's one Apple and Google. They don't like competition, right? So they're going to try to fight that as much as they possibly can. I mean, look at what Dish Network's doing with Starlink right now.
They're
going to try to shut it down. But I think that is the larger issue. I mean, in Ohio, because I was out in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people were talking about the chip plant that Intel is putting in there, right? And honestly, like, we're complaining about this, but you look at the amount of infrastructure and the blueprints and everything that they have anyway. Yeah, this seems like it's more like theater than it is actually a real, honest to God concern. Of course, somebody will.
I sent you my trademark. Please respond. That's basically like any U.S. company. They're like, hey, can you enforce our laws? They're like, oh, we actually have our own laws. That's really weird.
Sorry.
I forget if trademarks are in there. Let me get back to you.
So if they ban TikTok,
GATT treaties, WTO, we don't listen to those things.
If they ban TikTok, do you think Google is going to immediately come out with a TikTok alternative?
I bet you they will.
Hold on. Google Circle's coming back.
Google Circle was never cool.
Not only will they, but Google will go ahead and close it down after a year, reopen a new version of it a year later, close that down after a year, ad hominem, repeat, keep on going.
No, I don't think Google can do social media. I will say, Ralph, they actually do have a competitor called YouTube Shorts.
Yep.
Which isn't just a kind
Instagram.
of shorts you can wear.
Actually, Instagram has the same. It started to move.
Instagram stories, Snapchat reels or stories.
It's a thing.
Everyone's trying to copy them.
It's the hotness.
I think it'll be.
So cool.
I mean, I guess, are there sales? Like, can you buy things? Can you buy like TikTok coins on TikTok? I don't really know. Like, is there any like?
If they could, I feel like there's a big market.
I feel like we need Serena here. Like, she could help with all of it.
If only we should have talked about this.
Oh my goodness! True. If they have that. If they have that, then you'll see a whole bunch of Twitter spaces popping up. We're back in business, guys. The NFTs are here. Let's go. Literally.
Raining crypto.
Well, so okay, to bring like a full circle, something we've talked about in the past, which is side loading apps. I will say, if they ban it, it might be worse. Because it might be like, all right, here's how to jailbreak your iPhone, little 12-year-old kid.
Allow third-party developed applications. All you have to do is go to this setting and do it. I remember Fortnite did that.
Yes, that was that. Yeah, because they didn't want Apple and Google taking a cut of their revenue, right?
Yeah,
it's so.
With something like TikTok, would it be even worth going ahead and doing a side load instead of just having a web page with HTML5 going ahead that kids can go to and watch and post?
Well, yeah, but you can't mine as much data on a browser, so it has to be an
you
app.
can't. Yep, that's true. That's true. So
not yet.
Your phone.
It has to be an app, and you look at the app.
Not yet.
You look at the.
That was
look at the app permissions are like, this app has access to your camera, microphones. It's also MDM on your
call
device.
History, chat log,
social security,
health data,
health data.
Yeah.
Do you have a
sure grant all? If it doesn't have access to your health data, how it's going to know how long you danced? Because you got to win the TikTok dance
it's the calories. No, they have the
challenge.
app on your watch and it gives you the calories. You need this.
Okay, man. I need that.
This is a health thing. It's all for your health, man. Self-health is going to be huge.
There you go.
I don't know. It's an interesting angle to take to appeal to. It is kind of funny. It's like the government's like, please, private company, please do it like what we want. It's just so like, it's like, please, Google. We know you just control the internet. Just fix it.
You know what?
Just turn it off.
It's like whenever you have kids, and like you go to your spouse, and you're like, honey, your son is smearing peanut butter on the wall again. I get to be the bad parent.
Yeah,
it's like
I thought like we were
Google,
parenting together.
Apple, TikTok.
Yep.
Reminds me of Animal House's quote: "You can't do that to our pledges. Only we can do that to our pledges."
To our pledges. Yes. Vogler just said the flashlight app needs root access to everything. I misread that.
It does.
I'm not going to say how I misread that.
You do not understand how many people still have a flashlight app, and then they're like, well, how else would I turn on the flashlight?
Exactly.
I still have the beer drinking app. That's the best.
Yeah, it's a great one. I get hammered on that.
That's classic. That's classic.
That's a classic.
I can trust that one not to give my data to China.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
do you guys hear that Microsoft stopped blocking VBAs? So for those,
all right, this is one we have to talk about. Yes.
Yeah. So Microsoft was blocking VBAs, right? Which is just a hacker's dream and a programmer's nightmare. Let's just put it that way, right? But they decided, because of input, mainly some applications weren't working that had VBAs, that they were going to turn it back on, and they said it was just temporary right now, and then they're going to turn it back on. So
it's just temporary for the next 10 years. Just like Windows XP is temporary, right?
Yeah. Explorer's coming back, and so did VBAs. All right, so it's all
on Office 365, right? This is like, if you have like old school Word, does it still apply?
Yeah, so this is only something that would be like getting updated through like the whole lifecycle process, right? So
and you guys saw what Benjamin Gentle Kiwi wrote about this, right? Like, this had nothing to do with the fact that anything that people would download from Azure Cloud was being marked as untrusted and was completely breaking all of the macros everywhere all the time. People are like, but this is coming from Azure in the cloud. Like, I don't think they can put this genie back in the model. I just don't think they can. I'd love to get what you all think, but so this is what I think is stopping a lot of corporations from moving into a pure cloud like Office environment, right? Because a lot of those macros just won't execute because reasons about VBA executing in the cloud could be bad for everybody. I can't see them putting this back in the bottle. I just can't. I don't know. What do you all think on it?
Oh, I agree. I've worked at way too many large organizations where critical, unbelievable, you've got all kinds of cool web UX and we're going to be mobile and this, that, and the other, but there's some dude in an office back with an Excel spreadsheet that actually makes the company run. That script, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got to go talk to Bob. He'll update," and it filters out to all the cloud tools.
The financial industry, flat out. The amount of Excel spreadsheets with macros in there that run financials and financial trading is unbelievable.
Yep. I'm not surprised.
But I hear that everywhere. This is one of those things where like I love it whenever I'm talking to people in DoD or finance or healthcare or OT or whatever. And they're like, you don't understand. Our whole market vertical is a precious snowflake. And I hear the same crap for every market vertical about these types of things, right? I don't care if it's medical, if it's finance, if it's DoD. It's all being ran by Excel spreadsheets running on Windows 98, and there's like 8 servers that are holding it all together.
So, and then when you do an assessment and you find a Windows 98 server, they looked all shocked, like they've never. Yeah. I don't know how this could have happened.
No, that's not mine. It's not mine.
It's not mine. It's on your desktop.
Right.
It was.
That XP system, I was just holding it for somebody. That was
no, man. I don't know who gave it to me, man. I was just walking down the street and now I got it, and like it was weird. But
I'll act up a little bit. Hey, you'll find one of these on the network and keep it moving.
That's gorgeous.
This is on the assessment.
We found this in a network closet.
What is it doing?
You'd be surprised how many times I've been on assessments and I'll find the Excel document with every single employee, their salary, everything. This is like how they keep track of the whole company. And I'm not talking about like, oh, we have 200 people. We're talking like 10,000 employees or something, right? Just one Excel document. You're like, oh my God, like why is this person doing it? And this is their whole job. They are literally never going to get fired.
I can totally explain it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's easy. So they've got all the permissions that they need in Oracle Finance and all those tools and all that stuff. And then they say, oh, but Jim over here, they're going to be doing some project where they try and right size the things. We don't want to give them all the access to Oracle Financial, so just export it. Yep. And Jim doesn't know.
Yes.
And then it gets passed around.
And then the smoke screen. And then the smoke screen on top of that, we'll go. Let's go hybrid. Hybrid is for the Excel person in the background that's doing all the.
You would also not be surprised.
On that note, Rainer said, I work with too many vendors that send me quotes in Excel with VBA macros embedded in them and refuse to remove them. The macros don't even do anything when they deliver to us because they can't connect to the vendor's internal systems. There's so much.
Hey, I changed something in this document. Could you open it real quick? Because it wasn't working on my computer.
And that gets into, one of the spearfishing rules that we'd use for years is you go through and try to pull down as many documents as you could find. Find out who created that document, put the macro in the document, send it to that person because they created the document. They're going to trust it. And they would open it, kind of the same thing. I made some changes to your doc and send it back. But on that note, we have actually gotten people that send us like compliance spreadsheets that they want us to fill out for like their SOC 2 or whatever compliance framework that they're under. And they use macros. And it's just like, you want me to open this Excel spreadsheet with macros so we can do a pen test against you. And they're like, yeah. Okay, well, now I know exactly who allows macros in their spreadsheet. But no. So how do you actually shut this down? Honestly, like all the joking, if somebody's listening to this and they're like trying to get serious InfoSec news, first I want to say I'm sorry. Second, I want to point out, like, what the hell do you tell somebody?
You can disable this via policy already, right? So you can disable macros via policy.
I think long term, this Microsoft needs to develop and release a solution that is not as insecure. I think that's the only thing that's going to get people to move is something that's natively supported in the tools that people are used to, that doesn't allow code execution or other crap, that doesn't have massive holes in it. Something like a JavaScript kind of thing where it's containerized, something like that. It has access to certain things, files, etc., but it's restricted. I think that's the only way it's going to happen, because at the end of the day, the business use case of I need a document that does more things than a document does is either gonna it's not gonna be replaced. Alternatives have existed forever, like SAP or whatever. Like pick your alternative. There are alternative solutions to macros.
But
I think that's
I'm just
the only
throw
way
out
it's
we're
going to happen.
screwed then. I'm going to throw out we're screwed then. And the reason why is if Microsoft comes out with something tomorrow that is secure, let's hypothetically say it's completely secure, it's ready to go. That doesn't take into account all the legacy stuff that's out there. And that's
it's like 20 years before that even takes,
because all of the legacy stuff will be it'll definitely break. Like that, there's no question about it.
Well, and that's why they can't disable it now. That's what
tried.
they're looking into. But I think part of what they did is they said, okay, we're disabling this, and there's no alternative. There's no solution. There's no like, you have one less feature than you used to have. I think that's like I would guess there's R&D people at Microsoft working furiously to try to come up with some legacy compatible but still secure solution that will like actually allow VBA type of stuff to run, but without, full code execution like wscript.shell run.
Like what if that team they came up with a solution and eventually it grew into Windows Defender. And now it's Microsoft Sentinel. All of that was probably created as a project in Microsoft just to stop this type of thing from happening.
That would be more along the lines of their ASR rules in Defender at this point in time. Yeah. Because in there you could block all the Microsoft processes, all the Office processes going down in specific ways. Yeah. What they really need to do is they need to figure out a way of doing those in a little bit more fine-grained tune so as not to break everything. I mean, it's almost like trying to put a sandbox around it.
Once again,
you know what? What if they
put it back in the bottle?
Right. Yeah. What if they tried the SC Linux approach? Even though SC Linux kind of, I guess, it does break things, but it kind of gets more granular of what a person can and can't do as far as like permissions is concerned. What if they took that route?
I think that's absolutely possible, right? I think that is technically a very feasible route.
That's what ASR is supposed to be. It just isn't.
But the problem with it is, how do you scale that across a very large organization and actually set up those rules in such a way that allows people to function without actually shutting down entire business units? Because if you look at SE Linux, the biggest problem with SE Linux isn't the technical capabilities of what it can and cannot do. It's that it's cumbersome. And most organizations don't actually utilize it simply because it's quote unquote difficult. And it's
if it's blocking your business,
it's difficult. Yeah.
If SE Linux is blocking your business critical app, you're turning off SE Linux.
Pretty much, yeah.
I got stuff to do.
That's the problem, and that's the same thing with macros. Macros are enabling code execution, but they're also allowing that one guy who runs the whole company and makes payroll every week to work. So
and you can't imagine a systems administrator going, okay, so what exactly permissions do your Excel spreadsheets need? And he's like, so the first thing my spreadsheet does is it queries Active Directory to pull down every single user. Then what it does is it accesses all these shares on the network. It needs to be able to do those things. And you just see the sysadmin be like,
he'd be like, we're just going to turn this off.
Okay, you got access to it. Do you want us to make you local admin too? That would really help.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
We made a service account 20 years ago. Haven't changed the password. Don't change it though, because I don't know what it is anymore.
And that happens all the time.
The name of that system is Bloodhound. Start here.
To Corey's original point, though, I agree with everything that he said, except for one thing, which is you can go to the company and say, here's this, Microsoft releases this new, much more secure solution. And people are like, okay, that's cool. We'll get there eventually. They have to release something that is more secure and does the job better.
But they're going to have to do it in the cloud, right?
In the cloud, yeah, sure. But it also does the job better. It's like, hey, all this stuff that used to take someone who really has a deep knowledge of VBA to do, well, now you can drag these things together and build something up, something that makes it so that's like, oh, more of our people can use this easier. Now we'll adopt it.
Ian, allow me to tell you about the magic.
I agree with you. I still come back to, so we're screwed then.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, haven't you heard of Power Automate? It works so well.
Awesome. But it's going to be, hold on. I was going to say, I got the name.
What's the name, Rob?
What's the name?
It's Azure VBA Cloud. That's what it's going to be.
Done. Okay.
It's so bad. It's so Microsoft though. They just take three things and just combine them together. They're like, I don't know.
It's like, so Microsoft, can you tell us how this new Azure VBA cloud works? Yes. So what we do is we took all of these different servers and services, and we're running all these VBAs in the cloud. That's great. So it's running on Azure. It's in the cloud. Where are you running it? In Amazon AWS. We figured
because if they get hacked, we're not responsible.
It's just like,
that's their department.
We're running it in an insecure blob. Is where we're storing those.
like Jeff Bezos. Like, sir, they want to run this in the Amazon cloud. Really? Send them to Google Cloud Compute. They can run it.
Yeah, we are screwed. I mean, it's just the thing of, like Ian said, getting people to adopt new technologies, building those technologies in the first place. I do think there's an entire graveyard of products at Microsoft where they're like, we're going to replace macros. They're like, oh, are you new here? Because this is like number 42. This is attempt number 43. Like, this is how we ended up with Defender.
This is how we got PowerShell.
Right. That's how we got PowerShell. That's how we got Power Automate. That's probably how we got Azure. That's probably how we get,
it's a constant vicious
we just
cycle.
lather it with a nice coat of Windows Defender.
There's Windows Defender for everything in Azure. There's like Windows Defender for right clicking. There's Windows Defender for left clicking.
I think the answer, what happens is everybody moves to something else, and it like all this legacy Microsoft stuff just dies. Like, and I'm not talking like in the next 5 years. I'm talking 20. They're going to move it. It's like, does VBA work on a tablet? No. Well, we're going to have it redone then.
You're right. You're right. It's just going to go web app as a service type of stuff. Like, I mean,
who said
SAP already
HTML5 earlier? I think it was Mike.
Yeah.
So Mike wins today. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You predicted
it's going to be, John, you're behind on your buzzwords. You got to say it's going to be Web 3.
It's got to be Web 3. Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, HTML5 on the blockchain.
Gling,
yes.
gling, gling.
You don't need a database when you have a blockchain.
Yeah, I've got a really good friend whose son is into the Web 3.0 stuff, and I swear to God, whenever I talk to him, it's like he's hooked on meth. It's like, how's it going?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man.
He's
flying to California to talk to some people. I just don't know how I'm going to talk some sense into them.
It's hardcore out there, man.
Intervention. We're going to put all the NFTs that he's bought up, and we're going to talk to him about them.
I'm going to send my friend BSD Bandit, and he's just going to give him an Apple IIe to detox.
Yes.
You go
with it.
Work on that.
Detox.
You go on any website nowadays, and it's like you need to approve cookies, you need to set all your sexual preferences, your pronouns, anything else, enter it all in. It's going to be like that, but with the Web3, it's going to be like approve the wallet, approve your link up to your HomeKit for some reason, so we can control the web. We got to control your web. We got to turn on your lights and stuff. Like it's all going to hook in.
We need all of this.
NFT is about the art, and if they can't control the lighting, how will you know how the artist wanted you to see it?
Yes, that's the NFT. That's the Web3 we're all waiting for.
Oh God! And then that transaction's just on the blockchain with all of your private info forever. What could go wrong?
You know what's funny is there's somebody listening to this or is going to listen to this and be like, but that's exactly what Web 3.0 is. Like, why are they laughing?
They'll be like, these old dudes don't know what they're talking about.
Why is
that's
this
my startup, dude.
I
just pitched that to a VC firm last week, and they're in for $100 million.
If you like Web 3.0 and you like all these different things, what you really need to do is you need to start a company that writes 0 days and specializes in bypassing endpoint protection products. That's a moneymaker. Go
You can go toe to toe with CrowdStrike, who just secured $100 billion in their Series M funding.
Sure. Microsoft Windows Defender has an artificial intelligence machine learning algorithm that's siphoning data from billions of systems, normalizing what is the normal processes and dynamic link libraries and how they're actually called. But you can beat him, champ.
Oh, also, John, don't forget, all your users will be submitting it on VirusTotal day one, and you'll be completely screwed.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, you got to have the bouncing ball, the bouncing like this.
Not having it go across the bottom of the screen.
That's the best part about Defender. They don't even need
before I get a copy of your product, I would very much like it if I could get a demo before I pay you money. And then, that what's the first thing? You submitted it to VirusTotal? Yeah. It's like, oh, God.
All right. Well, our tools. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You're only as good as your worst customer, which is.
I just had like the greatest idea that we have to do and we'll never do. We need to do like a version of the producers where it's all a scam to get VC money, and we set out to make the worst, best security tool. And it just goes wrong because people start to buy into it, and you're like, no,
Ian, that happens every year. They call it RSA.
I've seen those moves.
No, Ian, what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of the songs, not Springtime for Hitler in Germany.
Fine.
We're going to pick one of the songs, and we're going to do an impromptu flash mob song and dance routine of the producers on the main floor at RSA or Black Hat or one of those conferences. Because that is literally what's going on with most of those companies. It's like, do you actually make anything? No, but we got Series B funding.
You should totally.
Well, John, your booth is going to be next to the Conti ransomware booth.
You know what?
Oh my God.
If I get banned from a major conference for all the right reasons, that would be great.
Yeah, no, seriously,
the song should be "We Can Do It." Yeah. The song should be "We Can Do It" from there.
Is that the song, Mike?
Yeah, that's the song, because that's the whole song about them actually scamming everybody.
Oh, that's right.
That's it. We've got to do it. We got to have multiple boom boxes. We've got to do this whole song and dance routine.
Oh my God. I so want to text Jason right now, knowing where he is. Just be like,
oh no. Jason's going to come back and he's going to find everything on fire. And he's going to be like, why did I recommend like Ian helping us? Like, this was a bad idea. But Ian, make this happen. Like, this has to happen.
I'm sorry.
We're going to be right up there with Bear versus Bear brawling matches at different conferences. Yeah.
Playing Sweet Caroline.
All right, we're over time.
Oh, we're killing it.
This show's already getting expensive. So I want to say thank you very much for listening to another edition of Black Hills Information Security, talking about news. You know what you should do right now? What you should do? You should like and subscribe wherever that is, whatever that is for you, and LinkedIn, in Twitch, in Discord, or YouTube, or whatever. You should just do that. We'd appreciate it for some reason. So thank you so much, and we will see you next week.